All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Go with the Flow. I have another special guest in the building with me. I literally say every guest is special because I truly believe that
I was
anyone,
about to say, I was like, there's no way you're hitting that every time.
anyone who takes the time to sit with me, I truly appreciate it, and you are special to me. I have a friend in the building, my friend Cameron Delano McFarland.
Delano, but yeah.
Delano, fuck. Are you surprised that I knew your middle name? Did you know that I do my
Uh,
research before I do these episodes?
Yeah, no, I didn't know that you would know it. I like to use it as a trivia question, to be honest. I don't know. It's middle name of a famous president. There's only like three that people know, and so people like guessing it sometimes.
Is it bad that I do? Oh, Franklin. Oh, I'm an
Yeah.
idiot. I was, oh,
Yeah,
FDR.
yeah.
I was about to say, is it bad that I don't know what president it is? FDR. Okay. Why did your parents, were they just big fans
So
of FDR?
my dad's middle name is Kevin Delano, or his name is Kevin Delano, and my grandfather's name is Winston Delano.
So your son's middle name will also be Delano.
Also be Delano.
Okay. So
non-negotiable. Firstborn.
family tradition. Oh, firstborn only.
Firstborn son. And my grandfather's name is Winston Delano. He was born during World War II, and Winston Churchill was popular at the time.
Okay.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt, also popular at the time. He became Winston Delano McFarland. And
So
became,
everyone's always had a son. In the event that
Yeah.
you have, what if you have three girls? Not that I'm putting that on. I mean, that's not like a bad thing. But if you had three girls, would your firstborn daughter's middle name be Delano?
Firstborn daughter would be. I have two younger sisters, so daughters are kind of such an interesting topic. I think. I really love my sisters. I think it'd be difficult raising a girl first, like spoil them and all that stuff. Same that I do with my sisters. But um, yeah, no, Delano. I guess Delano would be safe for the first son.
Okay, fair enough. Well, again, I personally I want two boys and a girl, and I want boy girl boy or boy boy girl. So
Got it. Yeah.
there you go. Yeah. So,
got it.
but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I kind of see what you're saying with. Actually, no. I think obviously it's possible to raise a daughter first,
Yeah.
but I do think I just want like the idea of like an older brother to like look out for them, that type of thing.
Yeah,
But I definitely
exactly.
do want a girl. You know,
You have siblings?
two older brothers, so three boys. Yeah. Actually, before I come on, let me rewind 30 seconds. I like to always say before I start, stop what you're doing, like, subscribe, send this episode to a friend, comment on the YouTube, subscribe to the TikTok. Just, there's a lot of good content that I think I'm putting out there. So just trying to build the follower
You gotta
base
do that.
a little bit. But okay, Cam. Before we dive into it, I want the people to know who Cam is. So how do we even meet? We met through work. You went to Stanford, played football there. What else is there for the people to know? That's a very broad question. But who is Cam before we dive into the topics of the day?
So I guess I like to start with my family. Probably the most important thing in my life. I've my parents live in Los Angeles. I got two younger sisters. Like I said before, the youngest one is still in high school. The older one is a senior now in college. And we're actually going to see her at some point. In
Harvard,
the near future,
Yale.
at
2
Harvard,
weekends from now.
Yep. And so my mom was born in Trinidad, my dad in Brooklyn, but raised in Trinidad. And so uh, big West Indian background, big West Indian family. We used to spend our summer there, growing up and just being kids. Played football in high school. Didn't really. My high school wasn't known for football. We were very small, Division 13. It does go that low.
There's that many divisions.
There's that many divisions in Southern California. Look, I love my high school, and I had an experience there. And my team, we had a lot of athletes, but I had to like outsource how I was getting recruited. I didn't start playing football until I was a freshman in high school. A lot of people did Pop Warner. I started when I was a freshman. Pretended to have a broken wrist and a concussion that freshman year, so I didn't have to play.
Do people know this? Or are you breaking?
No, this is actually a fun fact.
Okay.
I definitely fractured my wrist, but it's something that I probably did 30 times in college, and we just play through that. But freshman year, I was really scared. I'd only ever played flag football. I was pretty fast, not very big. I gained 30 pounds every year of high school.
Whoa.
So I started like 130, maybe 120, and Division 13, went to Orange County to play football, and that's kind of how I got recruited, doing that in some of the camps. But my 7-on-7 team was pretty good.
Any names that I would know?
And DJ, the starting quarterback for, I think he's at Oregon State now.
Oh, DJ Youngalele.
Yeah.
That motherfucker.
Yeah, that guy. He was our quarterback, and then Bryce Young was a year below us.
Heard of him?
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's also Pasadena, so I've always been happy for him, always been rooting for him. And then we played against like Amon Ra and Osiris, like those guys. I was playing with it was like a Servite, Bosco, Mater Dei hybrid team. Like each of those teams had their own 7-on team, and everyone that didn't play for their own school would play for our team. But
Amon Ra he's been the most productive on my fantasy team this year, so shout out to him. I have DeAndre Hopkins. He was on my bench when he had 34 points. I lost the game by 2 points. I'm 1-7 in the league. Won the first game. I've lost every game since. Not looking forward to my punishment. So
this is a high school or
it's actually friends from college.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, friends from college. So not doing too hot in there. But a couple things you said. First question: the LA versus New York City debate. As someone who grew up there, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this, and you want to end up back on the West Coast, am I right?
I would like to.
You would like to end up on the West Coast. General, after we've all lived here for around a year and a half, almost 2 years. When you compare the two and you look at the two, what are some things that you'd say you prefer one over the other?
I think the density of New York is very attractive. Being able to go outside and walk from one place, like it's just a very walkable city. I love public transportation. That's something I'm super passionate about, urban infrastructure. And New York is amazing. Like in the grand scheme of the world, it's not the best, but it's the best that we have in the US. And so I'm a huge fan of that. Population density, meeting interesting, driven people. I don't know if, I've really enjoyed connecting with a lot of people in New York. Your roommates, Charles, like just some of these people that I didn't really have access to in the other phase of my life. I love my friends from college, love my friends from high school, but it's very different. I connect with you guys in a much deeper level, I would say, just because of our similar familial backgrounds. Los Angeles, on the other hand, is home. It always will be. I think that Pasadena is, I don't know if I would live in Pasadena.
How far is Pasadena from LA? Because one thing about me, my California geography overall is horrible.
Yeah, real.
NoCal, so like I don't know. It's all the same to me. So how far is Pasadena from LA?
Pasadena is probably, it depends on what you consider LA. It's 15 minutes from downtown LA. It's 45 minutes from Santa Monica. And so depending on Santa Monica's beach, right? I you were just there, so I know you know that. But in terms of geography, like we are very much northeast LA, right outside of the LA school district. And so it's very tangentially connected. I would say that I don't think I would live in Pasadena specifically. It's a very insulated community. But Los Angeles is just attractive for one. West Coast, being by the beach is important to me and my family. And just like being an island man, like that's pivotal. That's pivotal. Like a real beach, not whatever they have here.
I mean, I fine. I don't claim New York beaches, but as a guy who's from Jersey, the Jersey Shore, I think the TV show skews a lot of people's idea of what the Jersey beaches are. But Jersey does have good beaches.
But everybody's perception is of the Jersey Shore, except for
people who live in Jersey and who are from Jersey.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a shame that that's the way it is. But people hear Jersey Shore, they think Snooki, JWoww,
yeah, exactly,
all that shit. But no, there's a lot more to Jersey and a lot more wholesome, nice beaches, things to do.
Is Avalon? Is that a place?
Avalon, yes. Like Belmar's one we used to go to a lot. I've never been to like Spring Lake, New Jersey, but I hear that's like a really nice one that people compare to like the Hamptons. So there's nice beaches in Jersey.
That's real. But yeah, I'd like to end up back in LA.
Okay, that's fair. And I was just curious because I was someone who, as we've said a few times now, me, Grant, we went there a few Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That's my second time in LA. First time going was way back sophomore summer of high school. My brother was doing a med program at USC medical school, so we all visited him for a few days. And on that visit, it was a family trip. We did a bunch of touristy stuff. I was literally, what, like 16, 17 years old, so couldn't actually have any type of real fun. So much traffic. I didn't realize how massive it was. In my mind, LA was Manhattan.
Oh, no.
I mean, obviously now I know this,
Yeah.
but back then I was like, why is this place so big? So I didn't love it. But then after this time around, going as an adult with friends, with money, being able to have a different type of fun, there was something about LA that did appeal to me. I still dislike how big it is.
Yep.
I wish it was, I like the size of Manhattan, like you said, and how densely populated it is. And I will say something did feel very, not fake, but like everyone,
look,
you talk to someone, you pull up their Instagram, everyone has like 30,000 followers, and there's some sort of influencer. I'm like, where's the regular people with like 2,000 followers?
Yeah. That's real. That's kind of why we wait to go back to LA. And we, not build a network, but you find a community here that moves with you, and somehow you all end up in LA. I think going there just raw, like right out of high school or right out of college, is very difficult. Especially when you don't know people and you're seeing it can be superficial. I think a lot of people associate LA, I mean, just same with Jersey Shore, like with Hollywood and even Calabasas for some reason. And I think if you break it down, like there are pockets of great communities in LA that you just need to find yours. And I think that it just becomes your access to it's a completely different lifestyle. It's just your access to nature, your access to um just people. It's a different type of person out there. It's much more calm. It's much more relaxed.
And that's fair. And we stayed in where do we say, Silver Lake, which I was pleasantly surprised by.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised by. Things were walking distance.
Yeah.
We could walk to like the grocery store. We walked to brunch one day. One of the nights out, we actually walked out and then walked home. Very peaceful. It was an area where I was like, I could see myself staying. We stayed with one of Grant's friends, shout out Nate. And just like the space that he has is not something you can really get here. And like it just,
I mean, we haven't even talked about a backyard.
Yeah.
That concept is so far removed from New York. Like,
yeah. Unless you're in some places in Williamsburg. But
true.
Brooklyn is where and you're a big Brooklyn guy. But I mean, I say all this to say LA is a place where young me didn't think I could do. But after going there and staying there for a short amount of time and seeing a different side of it, it was pleasantly surprising. We're bringing it back to the city that we do live in now, the great New York City. Right before we started recording, you said this was your 23rd coffee. Why do you know the exact number of coffee that it was?
So I don't drink coffee. My dad, my sister, my grandmother, they're all big coffee drinkers. I don't really like the idea of being stimulated to the point sometimes can be incapacitating. And so I don't know. I've just had a negative association with coffee my entire life. My dad used to get migraines when he didn't drink it. My grandmother, I used to hide her coffee when I was a kid because I was like, I thought it, because she said when she didn't have it, it was a migraine. So I was like, oh, she's addicted. I need to make sure that she doesn't have
her addiction. Yeah.
And dude, this is like 8-year-old me, and she was living with us, and she would get so mad. And I'm just pissing off this 60-something-year-old woman.
That's crazy to be hiding your grandma's coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I know exactly where I hit it every time. She'll still bring it up sometimes. And so I drink tea a lot.
Okay, I'm a tea guy too.
Yeah, green tea, a lot of that, and matcha. Post Japan, I've been a very big proponent of matcha.
He's a world traveler, guys. He was just in Japan.
Yeah.
Did you go? Oh, I already asked you, but did you go go-karting on the streets? I keep seeing that on TikTok.
No, we saw that happening, and I was like, damn, that looks a little corny. But to be honest, we were just so jam-packed. It's so crowded. Like you guys are. The go-karting takes up the whole street, and it's just so crowded, and you're running into people look upset, and it's just, I don't know, there was so much more that I wanted to do in Japan, and It's like the only place. It's truly the only place I've wanted to go my entire life, and yeah, no, it was an amazing trip, which we could talk about.
I was about to say, let's talk about it now. What'd you go to in Japan? For anyone who might be going to Japan, what is there to do? Since you're obviously against go-karting, what else should the people be doing?
I don't know. It's a very different experience for me. I've been obsessed with Japanese culture for a long time, not in like a.
Are you an anime guy?
I have.
Is anime Japanese?
Anime is Japanese.
Okay.
Anime is Japanese. I started watching the Boondocks and Avatar, and then like went through the Ghibli movies. And
okay, another follow-up question.
Go ahead.
Is everything that is animated considered anime?
No, just Japanese animation is considered anime.
Okay, so why'd you bring up the Boondocks?
Because that's a gateway to
cartoons,
to anime. Truly.
Like yeah, but then you can say any cartoon. Oh, the Boondocks drew.
The Boondocks drew a lot of inspiration
I didn't know that.
From anime, and Avatar significantly, like even more so.
Okay.
And I could talk about the creators, like mentioned it many times. Avatar is truly one of my favorite shows of all time. I think it's very well done. The Boondocks is up there as well. So I watch Ghibli movies, and then when you go to Japan, definitely go to the museum if you're interested. The museums are beautiful. The temples, I can't pronounce most of them, but definitely I think it's the Kizuno Mayoki. I don't.
Sounds right.
Somebody
to me.
knows, but it's
Sounds
in Kyoto.
Right to me. Yep.
It's in Kyoto. It's a climb. Go to the bamboo forest, the golden shrines or the orange shrines, all that stuff. I don't know. It was an amazing trip. Go clubbing. Go to C'est La Vie. I went to and there were two employees from my team that took me out, and I had an amazing time, and it was truly just and all my friends were there. It was my birthday. Like, great trip.
Fair enough. Where else is on now that you've knocked out the number one on your travel bucket list? Where else?
India.
What else is up there? India.
Okay. Jaipur. I want to do wedding season so badly.
Do you have a lot of Indian friends?
No.
Okay, so
which is a problem. That's a fundamental problem.
Because you said you want to do wedding season. I was like, oh, that made it sound like you have a lot of Indian friends who will take you to weddings.
No. I just need to figure out how I'm going to get over there. Okay. I've seen it in documentaries. I've had a series of friends in previous formats of my life that have told me about wedding season. One of my sister's closest friends at Harvard. She and I talk about this, regularly in our conversations, and I've wanted to go.
You should go to her wedding.
Dia, I will go to your wedding.
There you go. So you do have someone. How does it? I mean, you probably don't know this, but sounds like it compares to Nigerian weddings and Nigerian wedding season. And so you have a lot of Nigerian friends, so I think that you'll definitely get. You'll get involved in. You'll get in the mix.
I am really looking forward to that. To answer your question, that India, but that's Nigeria.
We need to. Again, it's so funny because I know our friends, like, and just in general, people are very much so like they throw out 65 different trips that they want to do. The
Alexis Ghana, like
Alexis, I hope you're listening.
December,
Our friend Alexis, anytime we meet up with her, she has a different location that she's saying we need to travel to. Yeah. There's been like 35 locations put out there at this point. Until I see motion on one, I'm not believing anything she says. Alexis, I hope you're listening. Please put something in motion. But exactly. But I say that to say, Nigeria is one that I think is actually very feasible.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of Nigerian friends, places we would know what to do. It's, to make a long story short, it's feasible.
Yeah.
I think we need to try for December of next year. We try to plan for December of this year and like a month and a half's notice, which is not enough time because tickets get way too expensive. So that's what I think we could very much so make happen. I'm putting it out there in the world. December 2024, we will be there. And no matter what, we will be there. And I'm not the type to just like, one thing about me, I hate like talkers, like just do it. Yeah. Just like someone book a flight, book an Airbnb, put things in motion. So stop all the chatter, just make shit happen. And so this is me trying to hold myself accountable.
That's what we did for Japan. That's what I did for Trinidad. I'm going there in February for Carnival. And it's just like, I booked the flight on, I think I was in the office. It was like 2 or 3. It was some like delirious time in the office, like in the morning.
It's the best time to do it.
And I was
just
just
go
like,
for it.
I was
Yeah.
just like, hammer it. I woke up the next morning. I was like, is this still a good idea? Yeah, it is. We go.
And last thing about Japan, food. What was the food like?
Oh, food was
'Cause
amazing.
I'm recently getting into sushi.
Yeah,
And
food.
again,
Did you have sushi previously, or is this like a new?
so me and sushi. I've tried sushi in very one-off instances over the course of the last 5, 6 years, but it'll be like maybe you're at a dinner and someone orders sushi and you try a piece.
Uh,
Or you're at some like wedding and there's sushi and you try a piece. So I've eaten
the
sushi.
rolls though.
The rolls.
Okay, got
But I've never taken the time to actually figure out what I like sushi wise.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to do that honestly in the last few months, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I say I like shrimp tempura, but people say that's so basic. But I'm like, I don't care. You need to start somewhere.
Yeah, and it's
So
so good.
yeah, and it's so
It's
so good.
so good.
So I'm pretty sure I like sushi. A lot of the stuff that we do with clients, it's always going out to get food, and it always ends up being sushi. So that's
Yeah.
also forcing me
Yep.
to learn how to use chopsticks. I was always proficient, but I was never that good. So now I have to get better,
Mhm.
and also trying to figure out what I like sushi wise. So long way to say, I'm in the beginning process of my sushi journey. I want to try the omakase.
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 Yeah. I was about to suggest that.
That's the next thing that I want to do on this sushi journey that I'm on.
Yeah, I think to answer your original question, Japanese sushi obviously amazing, birthplace of it. Going to the Tsukiji fish market, again, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but fish market was an amazing time. It's fresh fish, 5 in the morning. The stalls go out and they get what the fishermen caught, and then they serve it to you that day. Um, Highly recommend consuming Japanese food. It's very cheap. Um, it's everywhere. It's good, and I think it's good for you. I just think food in America is not very well processed.
Duh.
Obviously,
Yeah, that obviously.
obviously.
Some of the things that you'll see, there will be some things that you see on. So I'm not really on TikTok, but Twitter, I'll see a lot of TikToks on Twitter.
Yeah.
And you will see the food combinations that people are eating, and you wonder why there's an obesity problem and why
Oh.
so many people are unhealthy and
Dude,
why
I would eat 6 times a day in Japan, like all carbs and random, and I lost 10 pounds since being there.
yeah, but yeah. So you don't American food is very unhealthy.
Yeah,
Japanese food sounds like it's a lot more healthy.
amazing. I would
Yeah.
say Japanese food in New York is actually not that far off. Like Japanese food in New York and Los Angeles is not that far off. I think if you get sushi even in San Francisco, it's tiers below, but New York has pretty good access too.
Hey man, we're doing a sushi or Japanese dinner.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
organize. We're doing brunch after this. Because boys #boys who brunch, love brunch, bottomless brunch. But you're organizing a Japanese dinner, so I can again help put me on, even if
Yeah.
it's omakase, whatever it is, blah blah blah. But okay, bringing it back to one of the original things I said: Stanford football. First question, would you let and we've talked about how you hopefully have a son one day.
Yep.
Would you let your son play football?
No.
That's
such an easy
quick.
answer. If I don't know, media is interesting now that this will last in perpetuity, and eventually he'll see this. No.
Shout out to you, something Delano McFarland. Listen to this 20 however many years in the future.
Yeah. No. Football is, I don't know, unless you're so passionate. I was never that passionate about football. And unless you are, it's funny because one of our captains said this, but you truly need to be a little crazy to want to do it, and to wake up every morning, whatever time they demand, and just put your brain on the line, put your body on the line for a payout that is, so slim. And I had a great time playing football. I romanticize it at certain times, but I enjoyed the friends that I made and the skills that I learned, both athletically and emotionally. But it takes a significant toll that, like, socially, it takes a significant toll socially, and physically, and emotionally, that I don't know if I want to put my son through that. Like, you grow up so quickly doing that. You don't really have time in school to socialize and to, you know, um, go out for the majority of the year, and you don't have time to do internships. I mean, it depends if you're doing whatever Division 1 versus anything else. Like you probably have time in the summers, but like our summers are dominated by football. Our winters are like we're always on campus. My freshman year, I went home twice. I went home 2 days for Christmas, so Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and later that day I was on a plane to El Paso. And then I went home for spring break.
Damn.
And that was it. Oh, and then we got a week in the summer.
So not a lot. Basically, year round.
It's just a commitment, and
yeah, it's a commitment.
It's just a commitment,
and even so to look at the numbers, and I mean, this is a random website, but I'm going to trust the numbers anyway. It says there are around 1.1 million football players to compete in high school. Only 6.5% get a chance to play NCAA D1, 2, or 3. And of those that are lucky enough to make it to college football, only 1.6 make it to the NFL, where there are 1,700 players in total, 53 roster spots for 30 teams, I believe. Yep. So basically, it's very hard to make it in the NFL. That much harder to make it. I mean, we're not talking about basketball, but that's also really hard. Yeah, we're talking about football. So yeah, I mean, my parents never let me play football. Yeah. We moved from Nigeria when I was 9 years old. I really, really, really wanted to play.
Really?
To this day, I maintain that I would have been an elite wide receiver or an elite cornerback. Is there evidence to prove otherwise? No. So I'm
right. You can rock with that.
So I'm rocking with that. I'm rocking with that forever. I would have been an elite receiver. Really wanted to play so badly. I remember when we first moved, we lived with my cousin. Shout out Bamish. He played football. We would go to his games. It looked fun. We would throw the ball around. I had a little arm on me. I could I've always been an athletic enough kid that I would have been able to hold my own. So really wanted to play. I would always beg my parents, but it was always a firm hell no.
Yeah. I mean, I know I couldn't play until I got my dad wouldn't let me play until I got to high school, and then I was just playing baseball and soccer the whole time and flag football. But yeah, no, I maybe it's just the immigrant parent.
I think so. I definitely think so. There are immigrants who let their kids play football and who makes it to the NFL. But I would say I'm very willing to make that generalization that immigrant parents, they see the sport and they're like, absolutely not.
What do your parents do?
Neither
of them a doctor.
No, neither of them are doctors. They were both lawyers in Nigeria. They both wanted me they wanted me to be a doctor. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know this well, but I was like, I'm not. It's not for me. I was pre-med. My oldest brother's a doctor. They get one. Pre-med? I was pre-med for a year and a half. I was in it. I did 2 semesters of Gen Chem, 1 semester of Orgo, 2 semesters of physics. I did the math requirements. I was damn near there. Dude, I just had to do biochem and 1 more semester of the second semester of Orgo, and I might be missing 1 or 2, but I was damn near there. But yeah, that was not the direction that I wanted to go in my life, and so I switched out of that.
Was that you did an internship at GS? Freshman sophomore and
junior summer. Yeah, and I mean, I don't even know how I found myself there, but I'm there. You know, it pays the bills.
Yeah, it does.
But okay, wait. I had a question off of the back of the football. Oh yes, flag football in the 2028 Olympics. What are your thoughts?
I think we need to take it seriously. I mean, I don't know. I like the expansion of the NFL. Theoretically, I like global marketing and how sports improves globalization. Now, some people may argue that globalization is a bad thing, but I do think that sports connects people, whether it's the World Cup or the Olympics, or World Cup in soccer, cricket, or whatever. And then also F1, just these international global sports that have 100%. Really taken over. And back to flag football, if the U.S. doesn't win, something's wrong. There's really no other way to put it. I know there's a great Nigerian team. One of my friends, teammates, they can there's Bobby, Buwap. He's the captain of the Giants right now on defense. And I don't know. I think honestly, I don't know if he's good. I don't know if he's going to be good at flag football, but the dude has ridiculously long arms. He is a great leader, and I think that he could put something together. Paulson Adebo, also cornerback nickel for the Saints. And those are just two Stanford guys. Like, I know that Nigerians can pull together a team.
Honestly, you're right. Because you're right. There are actually a lot of Nigerians in the league. But although I feel like it'll be one of those things where the Nigerian Olympic Committee, I feel like, is very disorganized. You see this through basketball a lot, where our team is way more talented. There is so much talent in the country, but for whatever reason, it just can never come together well. Their jersey sponsor is like Peak. No disrespect to Peak, but we should at least have like a Nike sponsorship or something like that.
At least a Puma.
At least Reebok. At least Reebok. So it's actually insane. So I have zero faith in whatever committee to put a team together. But I do think, one, you're right. Globalization. It is a cool thing to bring the sport to other parts of the world.
Yeah.
There's literally NFL games in Germany this weekend. There were some in London.
Yep.
They've done some in Mexico City. So that is I think it is cool to bring the sport to the global stage. And the NFL, Roger Goodell, is actually encouraging NFL players to participate. So I do think the NFL or the USA will blow everyone else out of the country, out of the world. I pulled up some tweets where when that announcement first came out, there were some of the funniest quote tweets when it was put out that Roger Goodell was encouraging NFL players.
Yeah.
There was one tweet that said, "I'm sorry, but the thought of Jamar Chase running a 9 route against a Lithuanian elementary school teacher in the Olympics has me dying." And there's some others that aren't PC, so I'm not going to say them on here, but like, it's just... the idea is hilarious.
Yeah,
like,
no, I mean, it's tough. But then some people really go in touch. Like, my sister played for the Trinidad national team, and I think that people will really go to places where they can find success, and where they can find starting spots. And if everybody tries out for the U.S., some people don't make it. I mean, there are only 7. Well, I don't know how they're doing flag football, but theoretically, there are only 7 spots or 14 per team. You have however many subs, so call it 25. 25 for how many? 700 NFL players or 1,700 NFL? Whatever you said?
Yeah. What I said. 1,700, yeah.
Yeah, 1,700. People are going to find other places that they can play. They always do.
Great point. True. That's like Jordan Clarkson playing for the Philippines. You have like Serge Ibaka who played for Spain. And again, obviously I can't speak to what everyone's heritages and what they identify with.
Black people would claim something.
But I would assume if Jordan Clarkson could play for the USA, he would be. So there would be something very similar done for the Olympics.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Patrick Mahomes says he wants to play. Just the idea of these elite NFL athletes.
Jay Chizzy running a 9 against a Lithuanian
elementary school teacher. Yeah, I'll send you some of the tweets after, the ones that I don't want to read out here, because this is this is a very welcoming show. We don't touch on things that aren't inclusive and just bring the people together. But I will send you those tweets offline. So that back to Stanford college football. What are your thoughts on the conference realignments that have all now officially gone down, basically?
Yeah. I feel sorry for some of the kids in other sports specifically. I think it's a product of Stanford football and just what it has become. And not even, I don't know, that's probably a self-centered way to think about it. I think it's more SC and UCLA, and maybe it's just the LA superficial, egotistical type of kids and that are and athletic program. But I think it's a failure on the other athletic departments in the conference for letting something like this even be a concept. And I really feel bad for baseball, women's soccer. I mean, it will be competitive for women's soccer, so I guess happy for those people. But football, it disrupts your life. It really, really disrupts the flow of your life. Trying to do mechanical engineering, traveling to play football is very difficult. You leave, especially if it's on the other coast, and that's why we try to get our non-conference games in early.
Yeah.
Like when we went to UCF, that was before school starts. And so, but it's just, when you go to UCF or Notre Dame, you leave on Wednesday or Thursday night. Wednesday night, you're there Thursday acclimating, you practice there Friday, you play on Saturday, you come back Saturday at, you land because of the time difference at whatever, midnight, 1 a.m. And then you're just supposed to do your work that you've had for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's just very disruptive. Doing that for every sport is so difficult. It's going to be so expensive.
It's set up for failure.
The ACC, are you kidding me? We couldn't get further.
Yeah.
We couldn't get further. But you know, I really feel for those guys. But I guess it'll be competitive. You know, happy to have some new rivalries. Playing Duke will be interesting. Playing SMU every year will be interesting, I guess. So it is a failure on the athletic departments for letting this happen, but I don't think it's the worst. I'm just glad that they get to play at the end of the day.
That they figured something out for some, especially I think Stanford, and then there were two other schools who I think there actually might be two schools still who haven't found a new conference.
Yeah, Washington State and Oregon State.
Yeah, that sounds right. But one, it all comes down to money and the TV deals and the deals that the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big 12 were signing. I can't find the article right now, but I remember seeing some article about how the Pac-12 commissioner and the league basically had a chance to sign some sort of deal. Yeah. Wouldn't have been a mega deal like the others, but something that would have been able to keep the conference together. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is a failure on their part to not be able to evolve with the times. Yeah. And they just announced the Big 12 or the Big 10 football schedule for 2024. Yep. And kind of like you said, UCLA, they will be traveling to Penn State on October 5th and to Rutgers on October 19th. Right. The fact that a UCLA has a conference game against a Rutgers, I can't even fathom that.
That's crazy. They're flying into JFK or wherever they're flying. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it is, especially on top of what you just said, which, again, I wasn't a college athlete, so I don't think about these things, or I didn't have to. Your whole schedule is disrupted. You go to a school like a Stanford, you are there, again, for the most part, for the academics. If you're not coming into with some dreams of going to the NFL, you're trying to get your degree, you're trying to actually learn. If you happen to be good enough to be on a sports team, that's just an amazing experience. But you're definitely not set up to succeed with the type of schedules that you have. And this is just going to make it that much worse for people. Even like my friends, because again, Princeton was like 20% student athletes. So I had a lot of friends who were athletes. They didn't even travel a ton, but even that schedule is still so demanding on them. If they traveled, it might be over a break. It might be before the school year starts. But I lived with athletes. I saw what their schedule is like, having to do school on top of it. I think they're not setting the student athletes up for success. And it's a shame that money's driving it all. But at the end of the day, money talks, money drives 99% of things that we do in society.
Yeah, but look, if you know, because a lot of this coincided with the NIL, and if
what are your thoughts on that? You think you'd have got the bag if you were at Stanford?
I think I can probably talk to sponsors, and I could negotiate something, but honestly, after my sophomore year, I don't think there was a lot of room for me to, you know, engage with NIL conversations. I had a very difficult sophomore season, and then COVID happened, and then senior year I stopped playing, and so I think like I got 2 concussions my sophomore year, and that just kind of set me up for failure. And it was very difficult to recover from that, and so I don't know if NIL would have worked out for me, but I think that Stanford and NIL should make so much sense, but nobody really cares, and people need to pay. We have donors, but people don't really pay attention like they should. And I think that if this garners more NIL attention, I think that it will be more productive for the students. And some of them will get jobs, or some of them, it needs Stanford football players and the department need to expand the network, which like for the NIL and for said differently, it's very difficult for a Stanford football player to just work in general and to find a job after, like, because we're a great football school historically speaking, we're a great academic institution, but Stanford football right now, you're in this limbo in between, and so I think it's difficult for people to make it to the NFL at this stage in our down cycle, and I think it's difficult for people
down cycle.
Yeah, I think it's difficult for people to get a job because they're so focused on the NFL, and it's not until the NFL doesn't like it
work out that you start
to think about it. And so I think that if we if we're better connected with some of our donors, who have like the people that came out of Stanford are some of the most well-connected people
It's
in
Stanford.
Silicon Valley.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it should not be that difficult. But some people are still struggling to find work and they don't know what they want to do. They come out confused. And I think if this realignment has people paying closer attention, and improves NIL, improves um, just the connectivity of the Stanford football players, then I think it'll be a good thing.
Gotcha. And I mean, overall, I do think NIL is better for college football. I think of instances where, like, there was the University of Utah, their entire football team. I think every scholarship player got a Jeep, something like that.
Oh,
I'm thinking of things where even if you're not the star player, there should
yeah,
be. I think there should be people at the donor level looking out for the entire team and doing things like this.
yeah,
Not necessarily that everyone needs a Jeep. If I got the Jeep, I'll probably just sell it because what if you already have a car, that sort
right,
of thing.
right,
But I do think that the hope is that due to the larger TV deals, there's more money that's able to go to the players.
right.
They're able to benefit from the NIL somehow. And I guess that's all you can hope for. And it's funny because I remember talking to some of I actually might have spoken about this on one of the episodes when I was still on campus and I had my friend on the basketball team on. Either we had the conversation on the podcast or off, but I remember some of the athletes saying that the athletic director was very against NIL and was trying to
Mm,
discourage everyone from actually even having deals.
yeah.
Was that how it was, where they're actually discouraging deals, or it's just harder to actually find the
It's just
deals?
we had no idea what was happening. Like when I was there, that was the beginning of NIL, and so
Hmm.
no, everybody was just very confused. The program was very they didn't really know how to incorporate it into Stanford, and I think that it generally just didn't integrate.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what it's like now. I think some people got attention, some people got their NIL money, but just overall, no, it wasn't discouraged.
Okay.
It just wasn't actively encouraged the way it should have been.
Got it. And again, you look at a school like a Duke, where I love Duke. Duke for me it was always my dream school. When we moved from Nigeria, my mom went to Duke Law School, so it was the first
Hmm.
school that I ever knew in the country. To this day, like I'm a Duke fan for everything.
Yeah.
They hired. This happened like when was this? Over a year ago in June 7th, 2022. But they hired someone, Rachel Baker,
Okay.
who she used to work for Nike and she used to work for the NBA, and she was supposed to focus on NIL deals for players.
Yeah.
That is the attitude that I think most schools should have towards it.
Yeah.
You should try to find someone to, again, help all these players get these deals, maximize and squeeze out as much money as they can before most of them don't go pro and they have
Yeah.
to go do a 9 to 5 or a 7 to 7 or whatever other type of job. But again, all these schools, I think for the most part, they like to push academics first, obviously, but realistically, based on what you just described, most people are athlete students, not
Yeah.
student athletes,
Yeah.
due to just the nature of the schedule and the time that you don't have to socialize and to do anything else, and the fact that you're always prepping for your sports.
Right.
But during your time at Stanford, what do any games stand out to you in particular? That were particularly exciting to be a part of? Who were the best players you played against? Just that sort of thing.
Um, I'll say the best players I played with, um, or at least the people that I looked up to as athletes, and just leaders and all that stuff. I thought Paulson obviously was one of the most athletic looking kids I've ever seen. Just
Paulson?
Paulson Adebo, he's
Oh yeah, I know
the
this.
nickel for the Saints. Um, the guy was just so smooth and made everything look so easy. And then Bobby. I mean, it's easy to name these guys now that they're very successful in the NFL, but some of the players that were really transformative in my experience. I just thought Bobby brought great energy every day, and he made it very easy to enjoy football. Even though when he was a senior, I was on scout team, and all he did was make my life hell. But I still, it's funny looking back on it, but it sucked. It sucked in the moment. But I truly thought that I don't know. At least he was looking out for me, and it was just a very positive experience. I thought one of the most memorable games to play in, and I didn't play all that much, especially after the concussions, but um, I played in I got to play in the Rose Bowl during COVID, and that was not the actual bowl game, but
Yeah,
UCLA,
yeah,
the stadium,
yeah.
and that's my backyard.
Yeah.
And people make fun of me for being Pasadena and always associating it with the Rose Bowl, but it was really special to me because that's something that I'd grown up going to Stanford football games and watching them play in the Rose Bowl specifically, and being able to do that and be on the field, and that was actually the game that I played the most, and it was I don't know. It was a surreal moment for me,
Yeah.
like being in the locker room, seeing all the names of like the great like Rose Bowl MVPs in the locker room. It was that was a special moment. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is, I mean, obviously, even if I think just being a part of the team, even if you're not the star player, everyone would still get something out of the moment. So I don't
Yeah.
think it matters that you maybe didn't play that much due to everything that you just said. You're on the field, you're in the locker room, you get the whole team experience. Yeah. Did Christian McCaffrey? Did he ever come back? Did he went to Stanford, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He went to Stanford. He was 2 years ahead of me, or 2 years. He graduated 2 years before I started. He came back every now and then because I was a running back. I met him a couple times, but his mentality towards football he was very surgical about the whole sport, and I think he was a great leader from what the older guys said, but he was really focused. And that's just focused, determined. Figure it out, fake it till you make it. All like had all the sayings down pat, and was just trained to do football and to be a football player. His dad went to Stanford. His dad was a good football player.
I was about to say, I remember I listened to he Super Bowl weekend last year. He was on Part of My Take, the Barstool podcast, and I remember him talking about how hard his dad was on him and how he had to basically the way his dad trained him, basically made him the way that he is. And
Yeah.
so I know what you're describing. Keeping it in the Pac-12, probably the biggest story. Well, they were, and then the first month of the year before they died out.
Yeah.
But Colorado, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Would just in general. I mean, let's look at the first month of their season first, where they started 3-0. At that point in time, what do you think that meant for the Pac-12 and for college football overall?
I thought it was one of the most momentous. I mean, the Pac-12 was doing amazing this year.
A shame in their last year, yeah.
It really is. And I think Deion, I mean, my dad says this all the time, but Deion's a coach that we need in the Pac-12. It's great for Black coaches everywhere. Still think it is. I still think the energy that he brings is exciting. It's probably difficult for walk-ons and non-star players to be a part of a program like that, but I do think that the energy is positive and it makes the sport more exciting, makes the Pac-12 more exciting. The boys back home beat them, and so that was
that was Stanford should not have won that game.
Absolutely, they do. They win random games like that every single year.
I'm saying Colorado had that. They were up by a lot. They had, I remember watching the end of the game. Travis Hunter, or no, Shador Sanders missed a big throw that would have basically ended the game on 4th down. And then Travis Hunter just got dogged by the receiver.
Got dogged.
So yeah, they lost that game, but that was a good win for Stanford. But Colorado, that was just an embarrassing.
I mean, it's difficult because it diminishes what Coach Prime has been doing. But I think that, look, I love that. And I don't know anything about the coaching program or I don't know anything about the program right now. I stopped by the hotel a couple times. I went back and saw some of the like hung out with some of my friends that are still there. But it is still a great feeling to win games that everybody counts you out of.
Yeah.
And Stanford's always good for one of those a year. So
yeah,
maybe more. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they were the biggest story in sports, and that's one of those things where when they're winning, the hype is so real, and so palpable. Yeah. I remember, like, the amount of celebrities that they brought out to Colorado to go watch games, that was cool to see.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a team that I'm rooting for. I still want them to do well. It seems again, I'm not like a football guy. I mean, I'm a fan of the sport. I don't know the intricacies and the details of what it takes to be a good college football team. From what everyone says and from what even Shador was saying himself, he was saying how the difference between playing at Jackson State versus playing at Colorado, the talent and the skill positions are all there.
Yeah.
The big difference is in the O and D linemen.
Yep.
And from what everyone says, it just sounds like Colorado's O and D line's kind of trash, and they need to fix that up for next year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's already overperformed, overachieved. They were projected to win one game. They won 3 in a row to start the season. They won, I think, one game last year. So they've already outperformed. I think that's the type of team and the type of person that people want to see him fail. And I always root for people like that, who just like society wants to see you fail for whatever like stupid reason, just because he has a big persona, a big character. So I personally, I need to get I'm coming. I want to get some gear, the I'm coming sweatshirt that they have.
Yep.
Last time I looked at it, it was sold out, but I need to get my hands on one. But it's a cool story. I think once he does more recruiting and shores up some more parts of the team, there will be a more formidable opponent. But for right now, the rest of the season, it just looks like they'll be average, which they were trash last year. So average is still a step in the right direction.
Yep. We don't need to spend too much time on this, but one thing I want to say is offensive line. It starts with the front seven. Like it really just everything starts with the offensive and defensive line. Like quarterback pressure changes the whole game, makes it easier for every other position. Having a quarterback with time that can throw makes it easier. And I will say that our offensive line, when I was there were 5. They started as sophomores due to injuries, and they played together until they were seniors. They didn't really play well together. Like we were still not a great team up front. But then they go to to different universities, and they're all starters there. And so you think about and most of them were 5-star recruits. And so you think about where, like maybe it's not the individual players, and oftentimes it's not. Like Thomas Booker is a great defensive lineman. I don't know if he found the success that he otherwise would have at other places. Maybe he found more success at Stanford than he would. Like maybe he just shined really bright because everyone around him wasn't as good. But I think that you can't tag a player based on the environment that they're in. And I mean, just like me in high school or even me in college, like who knows if I would have found success if I went elsewhere, if I went to Ivy League,
Were you looking at Ivies?
I was, but I think ultimately, like I was always
a West Coast guy.
Like I only applied to one school. I was kind of focused on, I always wanted to go to Harvard, but only because of my family. But Stanford, like I'd always been a Stanford fan. My dad had always pumped that narrative into me, despite going to Harvard. And so that's looked at the Ivy League, but
okay. And it's again, this has been good. We have 8 minutes left, so there's so much I had on here that we're not even going to get to. But that's okay. I'll save the last 2 minutes for the song segment. I hope you.
Oh right.
Is that did
no, that's cool. That's cool. We can
Did you play your songs?
Theoretically, yeah.
It's a yes.
Look, I listen to music. I listen to music every day. I know 5 songs.
So we'll save that. But we're not okay. David Beckham dock away from my next guest. All that conversation away from my next guest. I do want to talk about though. Again, last weekend was Halloweekend.
Oh, yes. Thank God. Yeah, yes. No, I didn't want to talk about this.
How's your Halloweekend in general? And actually, we'll start there. How was the weekend for you?
Halloweekend, this was one of the better Halloweekends that I've had. I typically am, Halloween and New Year's Eve are always the most overrated
holidays. 2 of the most overrated days, especially in New York.
New Year's Day is always special for me because I'm from Pasadena. We have a parade. It's beautiful. I spend it with my family. It's great. New Year's Eve is you're always chasing a party that's never as good as, like, it never lives up to the expectation.
Yes.
Halloween is similar. Having Halloween on a weekend, but not the actual day, was weird.
But that always happens, though.
Feels like...
I feel like in our adult life, when was the last time Halloween actually fell on a weekend?
Real?
I think it's been a while.
Fair. But I thought it was good. It was Obi's birthday, and great to celebrate. I didn't have a Halloween costume. I was the gingerbread man.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was a gingerbread man. So I think that was a great night. I always love celebrating birthdays, celebrating other people, your birthday as well. Like I love that, and just focusing on one. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of birthdays.
Yeah.
But overall, I think Halloween is just overrated.
I agree. And I remember, because this was our second Halloweekend living in New York. I remember the hype around the first one last year and being like, oh my God, my first Halloween in New York City.
Yeah.
Everyone's selling out all these different ticketed events. And I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be so fun. Here's the thing about New York City. It's the baseline is always fun
Yeah.
every weekend. And you expect that these certain weekends will be elevated that much more. But in reality, it's
They're
just more of
not.
the same. And
But it's more
actually,
expensive.
it's more expensive, it's more crowded, and when you expect things to be better, you
Yeah.
actually just end up being disappointed.
Yeah.
So all the biggest weekends, in particular Halloween weekend and New Year's,
Yeah.
actually are very underwhelming. And so this year I told myself I am not going to a non-residential place this weekend. I'm not
Yeah.
buying a ticket to anything. If someone doesn't live there, I'm not going there. I was able to stick to that and had a very good weekend as a result.
Yeah.
And so going forward, that is going to be my same mindset. If there's no house party to go to, I'm not going out. I had a costume. I was Creed. It was a big hit. Liked it a lot. I had some chest out. It felt good.
Okay, champ.
You know, hey man,
champ.
hey man, I was in the gym. I never work out on Fridays, but that Friday I was in the
had
gym.
to, yeah.
I was doing push-ups for it. Why not? Like you gotta do what you gotta do. And then this coming New Year's, I'm also very much so like, I hope there's some good house parties.
Yeah.
Because if not, I might just sit home in Jersey.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pay a lot for a night that's just like every other night. Especially now that it's we've hit the cold part of the year.
Yeah. It's chilly.
This was the first actual like cold week. Like I got my Uggs out, you see. When I break these out, that's when you know it's
okay.
it's cold. Hey man, people trying to make fun of my Uggs. I'm like, I love my
never.
Uggs. They're so comfortable.
Yep.
It's like walking on a cloud.
Yep.
Shout out Uggs, sponsor me one day. It's that time of the year.
Yeah.
The first full year in New York City, I was very much to like go out all the time. I'm so content now.
I'm so okay.
I don't need to go out like that.
I'm so okay,
I'm
bro.
so good. I was
I'm
in
so
bed at 11:30 last night.
Yeah.
Amazing. Today's a friend's birthday, so like I might be out late, but even then I might just still be in bed by midnight.
Yeah.
We're like seasoned New York City guys now. So if there's nothing worth getting out of my house for, especially when it's cold, I'm not doing it.
Not doing it. Why am I taking a puffy jacket out and then throwing on some couch or checking it?
That's what I'm saying.
what am
Once
I
it hits
doing?
coat check season, keep me in the crib. I don't
Like,
I don't
okay.
need to go out.
I'm okay.
Okay. This is a lot we didn't get to, but that just shows how great the conversation was, how great the episode was. I don't even know why it took me this long to get you on. I think we were planning brunch and I was like, hold on, you didn't even come on the podcast. Yes. Gotta come on, go with the flow.
Appreciate it.
But thanks for coming on. The way we'll wrap song segment. So this is the only recurring segment on the show. I'm trying to get more. So if you can think of things,
Yeah.
let me know. And also if you can think of any people who would be good guests on the show, let me know. Any and everyone's welcome. Because as you see, we just kind of shoot the shit.
Yep.
Anyone can come on.
Yep.
But the one recurring segment on the show, I ask my guests to come up with 5 songs to describe who they are as a person. I leave it very up for interpretation. And so just say the song and say the reason. As you can see, not everyone always preps for it. Some are better than others.
But
no. It's no need to explain yourself.
All right.
The floor is yours. Give us the song and give us the explanation.
Okay, I'm a big believer in spontaneity. So first song, the first song is the Boondocks theme song.
Okay.
We talked about it a little earlier.
The soul that the
Builder refused. I am the visual,
okay.
the inspiration that made ladies.
Okay. I'm just about to make like it right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just like I use that for my high school application. I don't know if I use that for my college application.
Wait, what do you mean you used it?
Like there was I applied to Harvard Westlake, private school in LA, and they asked a song that describes you. I used it then, and I never knew why I picked it. And so on my way to the interview, my mom asked me, well, what was the song you picked? You need to be able to speak to it, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know what the lyrics meant. And so my dad, they were just screaming at me to find some meaning in the song. And eventually I found it. Don't remember it, but eventually I found it. And ultimately, I decided not to go, but it was, that song is special to me. It's, I grew up watching the show. I watched it with my best friend. And we watched it together, and it was I don't know, it taught me a lot. It just taught me a lot. The second song is "I'm a Bee" by the Black Eyed Peas. That song speaks for itself. I don't think I need to explain that. It was like,
You're gonna be,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm a Bee. I'm a Bee. Butter by Tribe Called Quest. I love old school hip hop. It's, people ask me about new Drake, new this, new that. I like Gunna, but like that's probably the only new music I listen to, and Young Dolph. But we'll get to that in a second. But Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang Clan, those are my favorite artists, probably of all time. And so Butter is just a song. Butter, check the rhyme. Like those songs just speak to me, just old school lyrics. People don't curse. Like it's just they're flowing and having fun and rapping about like just daily life and and sometimes with so much more meaning behind it. And sometimes not. But Butter it's smooth like butter. That's third song.
That was your third, yeah.
Fourth song is "What's Her Name" by Green Day. I listen to a lot of Green Day. I listen to a lot of rock music and yacht rock, soft rock.
Wait, what was the first thing you said? Young rock?
Yacht rock.
What is yacht?
It's music
rock?
of the summer. It's yacht. It's
like literally a yacht rock.
Yeah.
Rock for a yacht.
Rock for
Oh,
yeah.
What?
Like Toto. A lot of oh my god, can't remember the name. Steely Dan. It's just good. I'm forgetting like the most pina colada like that.
Okay, you might be putting me on here because
like
my single favorite thing to do in the world is to be drinking on a boat, vibing to music.
Yeah,
I've never listened to yacht rock.
Yeah,
but you might have just done something for me.
No, yacht rock is a great genre, but What's Her Name is like speaks to, it's not necessarily yacht rock, but it encompasses the whole genre and if you listen to the lyrics, you'll kind of understand like it's just a great song. I listen to it with my associate in the office late at night, and it's a great song. And then the last song is I was flipping between Young Dolph and island music, and I have to pick an island song. Like
that's only right.
It's my personality. I want to shout out my my cousin and everything that she's done for the genre. But Adrenaline by Boy Boy. I don't know if anybody's gonna know what that song is.
I don't personally, no.
But it is a dance hall song from Trinidad, a Trinidadian artist, and it just like it gets me going every single time. Every time, doesn't matter what mood I'm in. Like it's a great tune. It's a great tune. I highly recommend it to any Trinidadians out there. But yeah, those are my five.
There you go. And again, one of the reasons I love doing this segment is I love hearing how people think about it because people do it all different ways. And it puts me on into music because I did not know 3 of the songs you said, but now I get to go and I get to listen to them.
Yep.
But Cam, thank you for coming on the show. This has been another episode of Go With The Flow. Yeah, any final words for the people?
No, man. I think what you're doing is great. I think what you're doing is great. I think this is great content. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope the people on the show feel welcome and people listening. Like it's just a good conversation. I don't know. Maybe it's inspirational. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's interesting. Maybe it's not. But I think formats like this, and not necessarily like in a platform or with an agenda, but just like good talks.
Just talking.
Maybe it's just for us, and it's good.
Exactly. Yeah, and I can confirm I do love doing this. That's why I keep doing it. I will keep doing it, as I said, as long as people will come on, Go With The Flow. But yeah, I agree with what you said. This is a great medium. Love podcasting. Glad I discovered it. It's gonna go with the flow. It's here to stay.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you all for listening. This has been another episode of Go With The Flow.